All right, good evening, everyone. We are back here for the ESL India Premiership, and this is, of course, John Xfar joined by Stinky Pie, and we've got a pretty interesting matchup tonight. HOA up against Entity Gaming. Entity, of course, placing a bit higher up this time around in Phase 2. HOA coming in through relegation, having a couple of wins, but still kind of in that lower half, so
definitely a bit of an adjustment being made there. And also you have the Shadow Shaman, who has his, not his base attack time, but his base attack speed lowered. And that's a relatively new...
we have a couple of heroes buffed up as well, but a bit of an engagement before we talk about up top. Just some right click being pumped out by Trickery onto Divine. Is a 3-man though to get stun off. Onto Divine, the stun to follow up as well now. And they do get that first blood easily on Leage. They get the kill onto that Sand King though, so you do lose out in your core there, but you know, you still get that first blood, although it doesn't look like it's over just yet. Again, bringing forces to bear, Matt copying a lot of right clicks from Zephetto. You do not want to trade with a Shadow Shaman. He right clicks way too hard, even after the attack speed, base adjustment, and looks like they will at least manage to get themselves these top.
You've got great harass potential coming out from those treants, so they do bring Zephetto down there to sort of even out the numbers once they see that Trickery Resonates move down as well.
You get the shack off onto Tier Crew. The right click damage is coming out from Visery, trying to get that chase on, but they do manage to blast him down. That Ether Shock coming out from Zephetto, and that does secure the kill. So a 1-2 start going away of Entity, and as you said, that lane adjustment paying off already.
Yeah, they knew that the Terrorblade didn't have his metamorphosis.
Over at mid though, we do see Clyde and Castaway trading a couple of hits. Nothing too deep. Castaway is forced to salve up, but I'm sure Clyde isn't going to be too threatened by that. Again, just a bit of a really deep dive there from either side, really from Clyde, and the creep wave is kind of pulled because of that, but should end up fairly even overall. I mean, what's your take on this mid lane matchup? It's not something that we see too often nowadays. Right click damage to get that push going, and you see Kong again going up and really trying to apply a lot of pressure on Divine, but he drops very low himself. He is copying a lot of damage from that Frost Armor and ends up overstaying his welcome. Does get taken out. Divine did have to expend the sentry for that, but overall looks to be worthwhile.
Yeah, at this point, I wonder if Kong will actually choose to stay in this lane. It's so hard to really set up for something on this life stealer when you're behind, so this is perhaps the point where we see those rotations come in.
Does look like we will see again a bit of a rune swap, although bot lane, Visery loses his life. We do manage to find a kill in the Shadow Shaman first, and Terry is copying a lot of damage himself. So a bit of an odd, I mean, Visery gets that double kill. It's strange, right? You managed to
go the way of HOA though. Kind of a big decision there to try and pop the meta, turn around and fight. They did get the one kill, but it's just such a large risk.
Yeah, and now Divine copying a lot of damage up top. Kong is able to get that Sandstorm off, but the Zeus ultimate does catch out Lesh, and the Sand King now still very low, does get taken out in the end. So a 2-for-1 trade again up top, going the way of Entity once more. Yeah, and it looks like they do want to apply some pressure onto Clyde. He just hit his level 6 as well. So that's a crucial timing for the DPs. We always talk about this. We want to get something going with that Exorcism, but he's just going to be controlled up, and should be a fairly straightforward kill, I have to say. The Gaze comes out as well, and that control is enough. Even having Nature's Prophet TPing at the back, and that looks to be a transition to a pretty solid push on the side of Entity.
Yeah, I guess this is a good time as well to sort of talk about the different, I guess, strategies that we've got going on for both these teams. You know, you've got HOA, very strong, very big cooldowns, and great team fight, but on the other hand, you've got a very mobile team on the side of Entity.
Kong goes in for the burst strike. They do hold Zephetto into place, and they do manage to take that support out. They do rotate a lot of Fierce as well, and apparently they still lose out on Matt up top as well. So it does look like, again, it's a trade. You trade a support for a core in this case. The Leshrac has been taking that farming role. And you force a lot of rotations down that mid lane as well. Burst strike onto Moon, and they're not stopping, but stun follow-up as well. Moon just gonna Infesto. And that's probably the end of that. They don't really have any way of taking that creep out. It's not in the deny range, and
Well,
it's
in
not
fact,
popping
I
any
think
sort
they
of
have to be a
damage.
bit careful here. If he pops out, he's actually going to have a decent amount of health. Could potentially turn things around.
He is going to pop out and get the chase onto Matt. The ice armor's on him as well. So that added control is there. He does get the rage off. The stun from Kong a bit too late. And Matt actually dropping low. The Sinister Gaze once again, and the Thunder God's Wrath. Blocking that Lesh down way too low to deal with. And again, that's core Leshrac going the way of Entity once more in these trades.
They're really not doing great on the network part.
And Castaway comes in as well. He shows himself, gets the kill onto Tyrant Crew. And Kong trying to run away, but again, with that Zeus, very easy to cancel those TPs. And it's just looking like that early aggression is working out for Entity right now. They're all over the map so far. They've been finding these kills. They are 4-12 right now.
Yeah, really leveraging the strength of their draft. You know, the global movement coming in from the Nature's Prophet, the global vision, the damage coming out from the Thunder God's Wrath, and this is really, you know, what their draft is sort of based around.
You know, HOA actually wants to be the guys in this position. They want to be forcing themselves on the tower and forcing Entity to be the ones responding to that. Clyde down mid does pop the Exorcism, but he's dropping very low. He needs to be careful. The Hex is up as well from Zephetto. And the Thunder God's Wrath just cleans up. So that's an Exorcism that doesn't tie into a successful teamfight or tower.
I mean, that is exactly the sort of movement that you need to be making. You drag them bottom, well, you go mid, kill Clyde. And again, it's them making moves, them with the initiative on objectives. Once you get your ultimates up, which they actually don't have right now, but you are stronger in a straight-up team fight.
Zephetto does run into the Winter Wyvern, but it looks like everyone here is here to fight. They drop their Serpent Wards, but they lose their 2 supports straight up. Visery manages to clean up. Yeah, and it looks like while all of that is going on, Visery should be able to take that tier 1, but they bring in, again, forces to bear. They are going to make that jump in Visery. They are stopped from actually chasing on to the Castaway, although the Winter's Curse is extended onto the Zeus. They have everyone there for the respawn, so nice double stun coming out from Kong. Castaway actually still alive, getting that Thunder God's Wrath off, and already 2 heroes falling down on the side of HOA. They don't manage to get that Lich. Sliver of HP left onto Divine. Does manage to run away, although they do find Visery once again. I believe he just bought back, so a bit of a risky spot. He does get taken out in the end, and I believe, yeah, that is a dieback from him. But again, a cleanup coming out from HOA. And Clyde in a bit of trouble now. Moon did TP in to respond, just a couple of right clicks away from falling. Does have the face boots up as well for that chase. One right click, and yeah, Moon does take it out. How do you...
The glyph is up as well, I believe.
You get some D-wards going. Divine is going to be sacrificing his life for that. Looks like does draw a few chains as well, so does buy some time there. The Winter's Curse does come out once again onto Castaway, and already lost your 2 supports. The chase is still going on. Castaway now being the main target. Will be stunned up, will be taken out. Spirit Siphon was there as well. Visery now trying to TP himself out. The silence is there. He does get the second TP scroll off as well, and should be able to get out. So that's a 3 for 1, 3 for none. The TP response from Tyrant. Now this guy in this Winter Wyvern can deep push really hard. We've seen him just spam that Splinter Blast, and some of the treants just don't do too much. In fact, there again, they drop HP quite fast. The wards are committed, but the Fortify is there.
Yeah, good vision here from Entity as well. Going to be very hard for HOA to try and engage.
Well, Moon coming in from the back though. Tyrant not in a good spot. Does get hexed up as well, and it's just going to be blown up like that. Now Matt, in a very weird spot, gets shackled up. A couple of right clicks here and there, and when that just gives me a double kill. They take out that bot tier 2 as well, so looks to be a clear path up to the high ground. I'm not sure if you actually force this out as NT, right? You don't have the wards up. You probably could get a couple of evolutions, although again, they force that Burrow strike from
More than ready to receive this, and you know, in no small part thanks to that vision.
There's one thing they might not be ready for though. Clyde does have his Ags up. They do get the Rage on, and chasing down Clyde, he does drop very low even with that Ags. Does manage to get out in the end though. The burst strike right in the middle. Zephetto dropping low once again, and the Winter's Curse onto a beautiful target. Divine gonna be dropping dead to his own Lifestealer, so pretty nice kill so far. 2 for 1 support so far, and Matt now being chased up. The silence is there. The control is onto that Lifestealer, but the Sprout is there to make sure Matt can't get away, and now it's a 2 for 2. And who really came on top of that trade?
The big thing for me right now is that the Death Prophet did not wait when he got taken down. He's got those boots of travel just TPing around, pushing out waves, grabbing that farm, and of course the Nature's Prophet is going to be doing a similar thing. So HOA, if they can try to punish this movement, it is good, but it is a risk, and we see that there. It's just not easy to keep up with Boots of Travel and the Furion, and if you have the resources in the wrong place, you could just end up getting punished very hard for it.
Definitely so. It does look, Entity does just drop the wards to do some damage in that tier 3. They force a pretty big response from HOA though. They had to TP down 3 heroes, and that does kind of free up the map for them. It looks like they might be making movements towards that top.
That's a very big kill there. A lot of HOA's team fight, obviously the control is one thing, but the raw damage that you can have, the threat of just taking down even the likes of this Lifestealer with the raw physical damage is huge. Without both the DP and the Terrorblade, it's a lot harder for them to burn through Moo's HP.
Does seem that way, and Moon actually plays very far forward, being aggressive onto Kong. He do manage to tier that tier 3. Now looking to do some damage onto those racks. Will they be able to? It looks like they are forced back for the time being. Maybe a bit of a bait move, but no. They're happy enough with the tier 3s, they pull back completely.
People up, and actually this is interesting. They realize, actually I really like this actually, they realize that they're in a bit of a bad spot there. You've got exposed racks, you're playing against a great rat lineup. You pop the meta without really achieving anything, we'll actually put it to use. Just go for the Roshan.
Misery manages to force them to come out though. Is silenced up. The BKB forced out from Saul very early against that NP, and he's actually just running around with it. That's his fresh BKB. And Moon just walking in now. The Thunder God's Rat is there, spots it out for sure. Winter's Curse to make sure Moon can't keep that chase on, but their backline is still being torn up. Saul actually gets that Sunder off, and they do manage to snatch the Aegis away as well and get that kill on Clyde. But Saul actually dropping very low, doesn't have that Sunder because he used it earlier on. And again, that very, oh my god, Saul gets taken out by Visery. Now Matt as well, being chased down, and he's gone. He's gone. So that was, I do agree with your point, like that was a pretty good move from HOA to go into that Roche pit, but Entity spots it out. And after that...
I feel like they were just too afraid there. They didn't commit. They tried to go for the kill. They popped the BKB, just hit the Roshan, take the Aegis. It was very unfortunate for HOA as well there, actually. The DP got bashed at the last second, which allowed that Aegis steal. Really wouldn't have happened without that, so Roshan kind of playing on Entity's side here.
Yeah, and can lose that mid-tier tree. The bottom racks are being tickled by the Shaman Ward, slowly but surely dropping in the HP. Trick Crew actually drops pretty low. We do see Clyde trying to do some damage onto Moon, but I don't think he actually cares too much. He still has that Aegis. The Burst Strike is onto him as well, and he's just going to be moving it. He's getting that right click on, the Hex is onto Kong, gets taken out fairly easily. Now that entire mid-racks is gone. Moon's still on the chase here. Clyde trying to do his best to force them back, and Thunder God's Wrath is launched as well. Tier Crew does get taken out in the end and forced to buy back. So again, just Entity finding these small kills, finding all the objectives so far. There's only really that top set left, and they've just lost their tier 2.
Now, probably just gonna retreat here. They're fairly low on a lot of resources, but honestly, it doesn't take too long for a Boots of Travel Zeus to get his mana back, and maybe just ferry out a clarity for Moon there. But really, what we've seen this whole game is just Entity being able to play Dota the way they want to play Dota.
Yeah, and Visery just going in, sprouting out Clyde, and trying to be aggressive there. They do get a nice Winter's Curse onto Moon, but I don't think anyone's going to be killing him. He's a bit too tick for even Entity's own team to kill off. And just a bit of a wasted ult. You can see a bit of a split down bot. The Shackles long range onto Saul, but a nice Burrow Strike onto Zepheto. He does drop very low, forces stabs out, and still manages to run away. Does get taken out in the end, and now the chase is continuing. The Exorcism is popped, the BKB as well. The Sprout is there, and Saul is stuck in the trees. Someone get him out. Moon in the meantime chasing down Matt in backline, but man, Matt does get taken out in the end. They are trying to find Visery. They do find him in the end. And Tiriku now going to be taken out by Castaway. Thunder God's Rat is expended as well. They do get that kill, and Saul stuck in a very bad spot. He does have the Sunder. He is feared up in the middle of it and does just die. Mac now in the middle of 4 heroes. He's not going to be doing much, man. Come on.
Yeah, that's not going to work out. I feel we're really just seeing HOA completely fall apart here.
And that's a GG. I mean, that's it. Look, 19 to 40, 28 minutes in. 20k network lead for Entity. And a pretty dominant performance from Entity, if I have to say so.
It definitely looks bad in some regard, but quite frankly, I feel like that game could have turned out